How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the channel. And for the last couple of days I've been finishing this lamp project. So what you can see me doing now is putting the final coats of shine juice onto the lamp base, which came up pretty nice, all in all. Not too bad. Nice grain in that U. Okay, now this is a tale of two lampshades. Spoiler alert. This is the first one, and this is a great big piece of yew, same piece of wood as I made the base out of, and we're going for essentially a bowl shape. It's about 13 inches wide and about 10 inches deep at the moment. There's a lot to take away from that. We're spinning at 800 RPM on the back of the lathe. Whoops. There were a lot of cracks in this piece of yew, and I couldn't see them from the outside, but we certainly found them when we got to the middle, and we lost that bit, which unfortunately made that piece of yew too small. But I was in the mood for carrying on, so I glued it back on just to see if we could get away with it. It went back on alright, but it was maybe 1.5 millimeters out of alignment. These things are never perfect when you glue them back on, in my experience. Sometimes you can get away with it, filling the cracks with sawdust and that kind of thing. But as you will see, when I stop the lathe, after fully finishing it, by the way, up to 600 grit just to see, it looks bloody awful. So, that one went in the bin. If anybody wants a big old chunk of yew with some cracks in it, full of glue, let me know. So that's that one done. And lampshade number 2. This is trusty old sycamore. And this is a bit smaller, it's about 11 inches wide. Beautiful piece of wood, lovely spalting in this bit. So as it wasn't as big, we had to modify the shape. Another design opportunity to do something different. So my first thought with this lampshade was to get it so thin that the light actually shone through the wood. That was my plan. And something you won't see me do very often, we've got a tenon on the bottom of this piece. Because I wanted a rounded top with no mortise showing on the top of the lamp. Don't worry, I will be tidying up tomorrow. Say goodbye to the big pile of shavings. So we're on the woodworm screw at the minute. And I'm working on the tenon now, getting it down to a size that I thought would fit in my chuck. And there we go, that's all finished. Sanding it up now to 600 grit. And as ever, sanding paste and plenty of shine juice. And that really is a gorgeous piece of wood. Okay, so we've got it turned round. And what I didn't show you on camera there is when I went to put that tenon in my chuck, it was too big. So I had to put it back on the lathe on the woodworm screw, make the tenon smaller, but in so doing we were slightly out of alignment. It never went back on the woodworm screw exactly as it was the first time. So after sanding it all up and finishing it and polishing it and everything else, I've actually got to cut the outside back to get it running true, otherwise my bowl will be off centre. I'll have one wall thicker than the other. But at the minute I'm just hollowing it out, which was a nice easy job. Some nice shavings coming off there. Okay, so here we go with the refinishing of the outside. You see, it wasn't very far out of alignment, but it was just enough to really annoy me. And yes, quite a frustrating couple of days. Never mind, we all get them, don't we? Sometimes you can't do right for doing wrong. But never mind. So that's the outside back in alignment. Time to make it ridiculously thin. Okay, so what I've heard, the best way to do these really super thin bowls, because they do flex and move while they're turning, is to do like a section, maybe a couple of inches, get that thin, and then move on to the next section, hollow a bit more out, get that thin, and keep going down and down. So before I went too thin, I decided to resand and finish the outside. Not quite thin enough yet. Okay, I believe that's final thickness on that first part of the bowl. So it's time to just dig down a bit further and then keep that same thickness as much as possible all the way in. But I won't lie to you, it was pretty scary, and in the end I didn't get it as thin as I would have liked. It was flexing and moving and chattering all over the place. So that's how thin I went. You can see it vibrating a little bit just with the flex. It's pretty thin. It's 2mm thick at its thinnest point. So there we go. That's the turning finished, and I removed the tenon. And it wasn't thick. It wasn't thin enough to let the light shine through in all places. So I went for Plan B, which is drilling a gazillion holes in the outside with my Dremel. You can see it's a bit thick at the top there. And not going to lie, this took a very long time. But it was a nice day outside, so music on, holes drilled. Okay, so after about 3 hours of constantly drilling holes, there's the last one going in now. Now, don't do what I do here, which is try and blow the dust out of the bowl with no specs on. Straight in the eye. Beautiful. So, we have got a finished lamp and a finished lampshade. Next thing we need to do is work out how we're going to attach the two together. So you may remember this block from the other day. It's a piece of very old, very dry ash attached to a waste block. And we're going to make a little washer type spindly arrangement that will fit on the light fitting. So I just put a sort of 25 degree angle on that face. Turned out the centre hole. Drilled 3 holes in it. Just a bit of finish went on. And there we go. That's our little washer. And I got some pine dowel. Glued it in at roughly the right angles. And then spent maybe half an hour trying to get the thing to sit flat. Okay, with a few adjustments, that's now sitting pretty flat, probably. Is what it is. Let's come this way, I'd say. Yeah. It is what it is, folks. Let's see if we can get it assembled. Okay, folks. Well, there it is. After 3 days of messing around and messing things up, we finally got a lamp. And it looks pretty cool. I quite like it. It looks best when it's switched on, obviously. So, I hope you've enjoyed this couple of videos. And I'll be back tomorrow with some more wood turning. We're going to attack that epoxy project that we put in the pressure pot a while ago. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that. I hope everybody's staying safe and well. And I'll see you on the next video. Cheers, folks.